Well, hello there. Today I thought I'd introduce you to the concept of AP Yorick. And this will be a quick one. I have my internet is getting fixed. I haven't had proper internet this week, but I just wanted to showcase how powerful AP Yorick can be. Now, I played a few games to test it out, and pretty much let's open up this one and see if you can properly see that. All right, cool. So the idea is AP Yorick mid is pretty good when you're fighting against a mage mid laner. And so this is the Malzahars of the world, the Syndras, the Vigors. And the reason why I think that's useful is because Yorick's ghouls take less damage from spells, which means they have to auto attack the minions. Our ghouls, I mean. And mages aren't very well known for their auto attacks, unless of course you're fighting against a mid Zed, a mid Yasuo, a mid Yone. Those are still mid Irelia these days. Those are still going to be challenges. But if you're fighting against a mid mage, that's certainly going to be that's certainly going to benefit you when it comes to using your ghouls. Here is how I've been playing it. First, I take Hollow Radiance for the magic resist, wave clear, constant pushing mid lane, because mid lane is such a short lane that pushing it all the way is going to benefit you, so that you can help your jungler. You can help your jungle with scuttle fights, invades, and then just be a much more present champion or teammate on the map. Hollow Radiance is great. You can leave the ghouls once they kill a minion, it explodes, helps push the lane much more. And then Boots' Swifties are great in general for me because they just provide so much movement speed, helps you dodge. Most mages have skill shots, right? Unless you're Malzahar, there's less skill shots to think about. But given that there are a lot of skill shots, just the extra movement speed from Swifties will help you dodge most of it. And movement speed, I think, is underrated, especially in a champion like Yorick that doesn't have a dash or something. And I don't take flash, so I'll need the extra movement speed. Rylai's is pretty interesting. Now, it depends on whom I'm fighting. Even if I'm fighting against a Yasuo mid, sometimes. Wait, who is the mid laner here? Okay, Lux. Sometimes when I'm fighting against a very mobile team comp where they're just good at spacing, or I feel like they have so much mobility that it'll be hard for me to catch them. In this case, they had a Rengar jungle, so very mobile. We also had a Rengar jungle. Rylai's helped prevent the enemies from running very quickly, so that it gives my teammates enough time to be able to catch maybe an enemy laner that's caught off guard by ghouls applying slow. And the good thing about Rylai's is ghouls and maiden can apply the slow. So during team fights where I've been much more active because I'm mid lane, I have been able to apply a lot of the slow. And Yorick's slow is about 30% ish. I don't have the exact numbers, but around that. But imagine that slow constantly being applied by ghouls and maiden. And 30% slow doesn't seem like a lot. It's not like the 99% slows of Voltaic Cyclo Sword or Dead Man's Plate. I get that. But ghouls and maiden are able to apply it, so you don't have to be around. And I think even though it doesn't deal damage per se, it provides utility. So it depends on how the lane is going. And then Liandry's. It depends on the situation. I either go Liandry's first, after Hollow Radiance, or Rylai's. But the Liandry's is pretty good because although in the most ideal scenario, it's great for fighting against. It's when it's super late game or you're fighting against tanks. I understand that. It's because of the passive. But I don't think it's going to be difficult for them to run away from you. If you land your E, ghouls jump in, Rylai procs, that's 3 to 4 ghouls applying the slow constantly. And then that gives enough time for Liandry's to start kicking in and deal 6% health damage in the form of magic damage. So I think that's pretty useful. And then I think in some other games after, I think I have a Bloodletters. Okay, this one. After after the Leandry's Rylai's combo, depending on what you go with first, Bloodletters is interesting because the damage over time from not only ghouls, maiden, there's so imagine this, they're slowed because of E. Ghouls jump onto them, which applies the Rylai slow and the Leandry's damage over time. And as they're getting damage over time, if you have Bloodletters, their magic resist will be reduced by 30%. 30%. Of course, this is better when fighting into tanks who's built actual magic resist and health. I understand that. In terms of just being able to min max it, that's fair, actually. But you'd be surprised late game when you're all level 18, level 16. That's when magic resist starts to become a thing. We gain, as champions, we naturally gain armor through level ups. And then we gain a bit more magic resist near the end. But it's mostly armor from the early levels. And late game, this is where Bloodletters is going to be helpful. It does come with health, so you're not just a squishy, you're not just a squishy champion. And these are intentional purchases. If you look at the items, there's health, 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 so that at least you won't get one shot. Who was the mid laner here? Oh, Gragas. This was a pretty interesting fight too. So I think that I was fighting against Gragas, and then an Aatrox who is very mobile, and then the new Shyvana because she's ridiculous right now. Having that Rylai, oops, that's my cat in the background. Having that Rylai slow being constantly applied by ghouls and maiden, and then the more my ghouls or maiden kill minions, they explode, pushes the lane further. And by the way, Yorick's Hollow Radiance plays into Yorick's passive very well because the more, especially into late game, the more minions that die around you, the more graves will naturally appear. And if you have Maiden, that means if you don't have 4 ghouls, Maiden will spawn ghouls from those dead minions. So overall, it's pretty interesting. I like this gameplay. I feel like I have much more control over the lane. You won't have Q damage because you're not building AD. But it's something to think about, something that you might want to consider if you're either fighting against tanks where you have to shred, very mobile enemy team comps, or fighting against mages. I believe that AP Yorick deserves a lot of, wait, let me see if I can show you the damage output here. So I did some decent damage output in comparison to Gragas. So I'm having a lot of fun with AP Yorick. Hopefully that gives you an idea as to if you want to try AP Yorick, maybe that's a combo you might want to consider. Good luck out there. GG's.